to Thank you guys. And starting off in this book, A Fly on the Wall, we are introduced to a very inappropriate relationship. We do not know it's inappropriate, but if you read the prologue in the book, it lets us know we are dealing with someone that's, even though he's 18, but he's her student and she is 32 years of age. Okay. And I know I ask this question often, what does love look like? But honestly, when you guys first began to read this book, what was your thoughts?
It's kind of ratchet. Um, if that can I say that?
Yeah,
A raunchy, maybe.
very
Um,
raunchy.
yeah, because it was very I mean, it was very detailed, explicit, and I was like, is this the right book? Um, and I started to read it, and then I stopped reading it, and then I picked it up and started to read again. And I'm thinking, I guess this is the correct book. You know, I thought it was very different than what I have been, what we normally read, the type of book that we normally read and discuss. So I'm very like eager to see the ending of this book. Uh,
I
and
think
was I the only one that felt that way? Because it was very strong. Now the language and the activities when you first start the book is very strong. So was I the only one that felt like the book was a little bit much?
No, you're not the only one. Actually, being familiar with the book when the book was suggested, I thought, wow, out of all the books. So you're definitely not wrong for feeling that, it was different, because different it is. Strong it is. Raunchy it is. So, um, but like she said in the beginning, it's so much more to the book than, you know, if you can get past a couple of things, it's a lot of stuff in it that, we can talk about. So
Okay.
yeah, you're right. And
I
I
agree.
agree.
I agree. I think when I chose the book, I wanted something to be very different. Cause I think with a lot, even the audience that's listening is like everyone has their own walk with spirituality, and then also say some people are very religious. It's a difference between religious and being spiritual. And I think with this book, it pushes the envelope and it's gonna bring out a lot of truths, some truths that some people don't want to discuss or face or be familiar with. Because even in our everyday lives, what is normal is not so normal for everyone else. And then to me, for this book, it relates to a lot of issues with what's going on now, because we have this cancer culture of where everyone is speaking up about things that happen to them
Yeah.
um, behind closed doors. Everyone has situations like with behind closed door. We have private lives in relationships that we don't want people to know about, but it's adult relationships. They're appropriate. Well, this one is deemed inappropriate, but it's actually the relationship inappropriate. Who determines the inappropriateness of this relationship? Society, God, or honestly, how we truly feel? Now, we do have to look at the morals and values there, because morally it's wrong. Morally, it is honestly wrong. And I think she starts out with such strong, vulgar language because she's saying the things that most people say in their minds, but they just don't express out loud. Because, like I said, to me, it's familiar with behind closed doors. It's like we hide behind masks and we hide behind these shields, but who deems what is inappropriate? Who says what is right and what is wrong, and what is morally right and morally wrong? And we know we have seen a lot of things in the headlines. We have teachers having inappropriate relationships, and to me, that what was morally wrong to me. She was a teacher, and she was held to a higher standard. It was raunchy with the language, but it was honest, it was raw, and it was real. Then we are introduced to Theo after the vulgar language. What do we think about Mr. Theo? Because he starts out, the fly starts off telling the story, he introduces himself. But what about Mr. Theo? Does anyone have any thoughts on Theo?
And Theo was a very experienced young man, and evidently he was a handsome young man. He was well developed, um, and he knew exactly what to say and how to say it.
Yeah.
And I noticed, in when he was talking to his friend Will, he was saying how easy it was to, to get a woman. It was really just a game to him, and he felt that he had mastered that game. So after being involved with, the young ladies at the school, he was confident to know that he could get any adult he wanted. And according to the book, some of the things that he said, he had already thought about the women. He had a list of women. He actually added her to the list of women that he was interested in being intimate with. So I think that Theo was very intelligent. He knew how to play the game, and I think he was very experienced.
I agree. And then in the beginning, when we first read about their relationship, she was scared and she was apprehensive. And it was like everything in her was telling her no, but she had already crossed that line by allowing the young man in her bedroom to start the relationship. Even though it was not necessarily sexual, it was no different from Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, because that's how it started off in the book. It was raw, it was raunchy, and we learned it was already inappropriate, but we knew his sexual escapades that he was already experienced. And she's looking at like, wow, how does this young man know this much? And she released herself to him. But she made a promise where she wanted him to promise her, and he promised her everything that she wanted to hear. So for me, when it starts with that part, it's like hindsight is 2020. This 18-year-old is promising this full-grown woman that has everything to lose something. We didn't know how much he had to lose, but starting off at the beginning of the chapter, he, when his mom was talking to him and he was venting like most young kids do, like, my mama promised to give me this car, and he's frustrated, even using inappropriate language toward his mom. But what we did see, the relationship that he had with his mother. Then we also was introduced, as you said, he's messing with another young lady that is his age, and his friend Will is admiring him because Will does not have those sexual escapades. And then I started to think with this part, is like, you was just in the bed with a full grown woman making promises to her. You are an 18-year-old man. Now you're here with a girl that's around your age, and your friend is telling you, don't get in the bed with her, don't trust her, because she's only after you for one thing. Because we realize he has all type of scholarships.
Mm-hmm.
He is in major newspaper because he's this great outstanding athlete, and he promised his mom, like, I wouldn't make a careless mistake. And he's saying it about the girl that she caught him in her room with. So it's like Theo is cocky, Theo is wise, and he's mature for his age, but he's also immature because, to me, I don't think a man that has wisdom would talk about his sexual escapades with in such context as he did with his friends, because he was basically bragging on it.
I mean, and I can see him doing that because you'll be surprised at men, our age.
Yeah.
And they do go back and they share with their friends, the type of relationship, if they've been with a woman and what occurred that night and all that she did. And, they add extra to what they did, and to make themselves look good. So they talk about things like that, and that boosts their ego. But I also felt like every grown woman, Theo wouldn't have been able to seduce. And so I think he caught her at a time where, okay, so she thought Dorian, she was going to be with Dorian. Then she found out Dorian had the Dorian was gay and he was living with a man. Her ex-husband could spend time with her and be with her whenever he chose to, no matter when she said, I'm not going to see Craig anymore. He was able to come in whenever he saw fit and then walk out the door and leave her. I know in one part of the book she was into being intimate with him, and he ended up talking to another lady on the phone while they were together. So, and she became upset by that. So I know that she had spent a lot of time in the gym and she was trying to make her outside appearance look a certain way. But I still know that she was lonely and inside, because her friends had were in good relationships, and that's what she was seeing around her. So I knew that she wanted to still be in a relationship and want a relationship to work. So he caught her at kind of like a low time in her life, maybe. Um, and she was desperate just to feel love and somebody just wanting to say something to her. He just caught her at a time when she was vulnerable.
Yeah, I do think she was very vulnerable and she fell into everything that he had going on. But it also seemed like she was a willing participant because she already knew who he was. When we get in, when we are introduced to it, we learn that her name is Paige. Her maiden name is Paige Patrick, and she was married to his basketball coach. And she does, and she tell us like what I really want to tell these students is yes, y'all used to call me Miss Fat Patrick. But what y'all didn't know, I won a lawsuit. I got $25,000 and I put it into me. But what we did see, even when she was expressing it, like you said, her inside still didn't match her outside because now she's a strong woman. She had a good career because she had been at the school for 6 years. Like you said, she had met Dorian. We're introduced to Dorian in the very first part of the book, and she lets us know that Dorian is handsome and he lets her know that I'm very interested in you. So she's kind of coy, and she lets you even know at the beginning of the book that her husband was no good. She had to divorce him because not only did he give her one STD, he gave her two STDs and wasn't even coming home the night she found out she had an STD, and she bombarded him in the bar hanging out with his friends. So it lets us know, and I think that's why the author chose it that way. It's like, let me let you know first and foremost, this is an inappropriate relationship. But also let me allow you to see why it's inappropriate and everything that this woman is going through. I just heard earlier today on Iyanla Fix My Life, and she was saying often when women are overweight is because they're covering something. They're masking their pain with their weight. And it's like a shield or a protection for them. And we learned, okay, she was sexy in college, but once she met that coach, she put on her weight. I think it said she was 206 pounds, but after her surgery, she dropped down to 132. So for a question that's posed, do you all often think when a woman is truly going through something, and she said it, when they're going through depression, they fall weak for any attention from guys? Or do they use food to mask away their pain?
I feel
Good evening,
everybody.
everyone. Oh,
Hey, everybody have different coping mechanisms. So just because you see someone who's overweight doesn't mean that they're masking or hiding behind something, or just because you see someone, you know, it's different ways people cope, and you can't see someone and feel that just because they're this or they're that, that means they're going through something. So, and also being depressed and falling victim to men or whatever. Sometimes you can be depressed and don't want to be around nothing look like a man. So not everybody. I disagree.
repeat your question, please.
Okay, thank you for joining us. Okay, first we just start off giving an introduction to the book, letting know the audience know we're speaking on A Fly on the Wall by Trista Russell. We will also let them know about the inappropriate relationship between the 18-year-old and the 32-year-old teacher. So I was saying earlier today, I was watching Iyanla Fix My Life, and she had a theology saying that most women often wear extra weight because they're trying to mask something that they're trying to hide. It may be pain, or it may be a way to protect themselves from other outside attention because they're not ready for it. And so I was also asking, like, do you agree or disagree with that theology? And do you also agree with, like, when some people are going through depression, they are easy to fall weaker to the opposite sex attention?
I agree that some people, when they're going through things, yes, they may gain weight to mask things because not only is not only eating, but they have stopped. The world for them have stopped. They have isolated themselves. A lot of them have isolated themselves on the inside. They don't want to do anything. And we know that you don't have to eat a lot to gain weight. You can just stop doing what you're doing and weight automatically come with age. If you don't keep yourself up. And weight automatically come with age. You don't have to eat. And most people do, some people do mask themselves with food. Now, what was part two?
Do you think you're vulnerable to outside attention when you're going through something?
Personally, yes. My opinion, yes. Because you're angry. Basically, you're not angry at that person. You're angry at yourself for allowing yourself to go through and be put through some unnecessary hurt and pain. And what you doing is, and personally, this is my own opinion, you want to show them, I'm going to get back at you. I'm going to let you know that you didn't stop nothing here. It's your loss and somebody else's gain. You know, we are angry at ourselves. And that's the things that we do. That's personal. That's my personal opinion.
I have heard the cliche that people are often say, well, the best way to get over someone is get under someone else. And I think a lot of people do jump into relationships. I do agree with that part. As you said, they'll get into relationships to prove something to someone else, like somebody else wants me. Because when you're rejected, that's what you want to feel. You want to feel needed and wanted. And then I agree with what Kim said earlier. Sometimes when people go through things, it hurts them so bad that they don't want to be bothered with anyone at all. I think it's a matter of personality and how they're truly feeling. In the book, she revealed that she went through different emotions. And her best thing was, let me get snapped back to my sexy weight because maybe it'll prove to him. Even though she was saying that she was doing it for herself, but as Donna revealed earlier, she still was messing back with her husband either after she divorced him. She divorced him out of anger because she was angry because this is your second time giving me an STD, but she still allowed him to come back and have sexual relationships with her. She was saying because his sex was so good, but like she said, if she was in the right state of mind or something like that, it was nothing that her ex could have said to her to get back in the bed with her, nor would she enter that inappropriate relationship with that young man, even though he was saying all the right things. So I think it was her emotions that was driving her to do a lot of things.
And then a lot of times, women they call cougars, and the cougars are women that date younger guys. Well, she could have possibly felt that, oh, this younger guy sees something in me,
Yeah.
and I still got it. And that's a natural high
Yeah.
when you on cloud nine, when you have this young tenderoni looking at you, and you about 20 years older or more, and it makes you feel kind of like proud of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I can do anything, and so I understand that. You're looking at one thing, but you're forgetting the big picture down the road. And that little lust, it is nothing but lust. It's not love. It's lust is the other L word.
Yeah.
It's lust, it's power, it's excitement.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is until it's not.
Has anyone seen the show Ready for Love?
No, I
It's
had.
good. It's good. It comes on. You seen it?
I haven't heard of it.
It comes on network, and it's about a group of mature individuals. When they get to a certain age, they test them and see are they ready for love. And it's a predominantly black show. And on there this weekend, the guy, he was interested in two women. One woman, she was like, she was on her grind. She knew what she wanted. She knew how she wanted. So it was like, look, either you want this, I'm gonna be your number one, or what. But he had this other girl. He was very interested in her. He felt like they were so much alike. And they had so much in common. But when he introduced her to his friends was like, no, I like the one that's more settled. She's grown. She's mature. She knows what she wants. He was like, and they told him, you can find any girl like the girl you interested in, because the only thing you looking at, you can have a truly good time with her. You can go out on dates with her. You can go on trips and be spontaneous because she's gonna be down for that. They was like, but you can do that by yourself. So either you're gonna get to a point where you constantly choose a woman that's gonna be more like you, or you're gonna get a woman that's gonna push you to be greater because you have that in you. And to me, that I see that with Theo, because Theo mom was powerful. And I think even though he looked at Miss Page as this beautiful, sexy woman, but I think he also liked her power because she challenged him the very first day in that class, and he was not used to that. And I think that's what he was also physically attracted to, the power, and that she wasn't, even though she played power, that she was not by him, like most teachers were, and gave him leeway. Because his mother gave him so much leeway, but she put her foot down because she's a single mom and she knew she had to be stronger with him. But I like that scenario. It's like, either you're gonna choose a woman to have fun with and grow, or you're gonna choose a woman that's gonna settle you and make you better.
Now I kind of wonder why did Theo choose her? I know you said that she kind of put him in his place. And she, he had status around the high school. He had been in newspapers. We knew he was a good basketball player, and there was an opportunity for him to go pro. And we know that even one girl tried to pretend as if she was pregnant by him, looking at the future that she could possibly have. But I just wonder, even though his mama was single and she kind of held it down, I just still wondered why he kind of wanted to be involved with a woman that could have been a mother figure.
Yeah, because she was 14 years older than him. But think about the scenario. When he was first time out the girl, I think her name was Tessa. Remember what he said about Tessa? He was like, when he first met Tessa, he liked her because remember they said the girl was very beautiful. She kept herself together, and he was like, when he first met her, she presented herself to be the type of woman he could settle down with. But then once he got with her, he realized just how ghetto she was. She stayed in the house with like 12 people. Her mother was loud and ghetto. Somebody was always cursing and doing anything. That it was always a bunch of people at her home, and he was like, he knew right then he could never settle down with her. He knew it was the type of woman that his mother was warning him about, saying, no, don't get with somebody that has. And I remember my uncles used to say that all the time. They was like, never get in a relationship with a person that has nothing to lose but something to gain. And I think he knew with Tessa, he had everything to lose. With Paige, he had nothing to lose, but he had everything to gain, but he didn't need to gain anything because he already had notoriety. If he had a guy with Tessa, he had a lot to lose dealing with her. I'm gonna lose my mom because my mom already said no. I'm gonna lose the self-respect of my friends because my friends always telling me she a good time girl. Then I'm gonna lose myself because she the type that she's strictly for herself. She's not with me because she loves me. She wants to gain. Paige had nothing to gain from him either, so I think he liked it that she held down her own. And then even remember, she said that's why she introduced herself the first day, because everybody around the school knew that the coach was no good, that he dogged her out.
But even with Paige, he still had something to gain, because when you're an 18-year-old young man and you're messing with a grown woman, and not just a grown woman, it was a teacher. So when your friends and people found out about that, they're going to cheer you on, and they're going to be, your ego is really going to blow up then. Your status around the school and town is going to be something serious. So it was something to gain for him, something additionally that he could gain. Now it was going to be a big loss for her. When it comes out publicly, and I hadn't gotten to that part, but I know how the outcome is going to be when they find out.
But I hadn't read as much, but he had something to lose too.
Yeah.
Because he gets strung on an older woman. Because an older woman can introduce him to some things that he's not used to. He hadn't experienced.
Oh, he was
And
very
he can,
experienced.
he can lose his sense of direct. He got a place to go and lay up whenever he want to. He got a grown woman to cook for him. He got a grown woman to buy stuff for him. And he can, and she can be, he thinking that she may care for him so much, but she in turn, he can just be a little good time for her. And she can go off with somebody else, and that can mess his mind up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
they
he got
both could
his
lose.
signature to lose. He got something to lose too.
And also, again, we all knew that he, his status at school, so he could have had any high
Yeah, he
school
could have had
girl
anybody.
that he wanted. So of course, here's this grown, beautiful woman who is also my coach's ex-wife. So it's like it was a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And not necessarily he went after her to say or to brag that I got this older woman, because like we say, also he was mature. But he wanted, I felt he wanted something more, something different that those high school girls could not offer him.
And honestly, I mean, y'all may disagree, but I don't think he wanted her sexually. I think he wanted her because she was different. Because like I said, everybody else a good time girl, and he could have had anybody that he wanted, and he did have a lot to lose. He had all type of scholarships, and that man was his coach. Now imagine if everybody finding out, and you know scholarships are very tricky. He can lose his scholarship. His coach can boot him off the team, find any reason. He can get kicked out of school even for the inappropriate relationship. And what college is going to want to deal with a college athlete that got caught up in a scandal like that? Because they're going to be looking at you got all this going for you. Why throw it away? Because remember, his mother even laid her head on his chest, and he comforted his mother in the very beginning, like, I'm not going to get caught up. Because she was telling him, do not get caught up with a girl like Tessa, because she saw Tessa for what she was. She was an opportunist. Even though, like he said, when he met Tessa, Tessa pretended to have everything together. But once he got to know her, he realized, well, Tessa, I got a lot to lose because your man is not physically there. You still a child. But everybody was pushing him to be mature, and he was also the mayor of his mom's household. Because the first thing she reminded him of, if you do this and your brother catch you in the house with this girl, what is he gonna think? He don't know any better. And you know, he was adult enough for to think like, yeah, my mom is right. I wouldn't know what to say to my little brother. So he was a father figure. He was the man of his mother house, and he was a father figure to his little brother. And like I said, he was gonna get the respect of his friends. But what's the respect of your friends when you done lost out on a scholarship and $1 million deals over a woman, and you could have had any woman that you wanted?
I really don't think it would have. It's going to turn out that way because she's a person of authority,
Yeah.
and at the end of the day, he's still a child. So even though we say he's mature, um, in the eyes of other adults, or he's not really mature. He's still a child. So at the end of the day, I don't think it was going. It's going to hurt. Cause it may cause a little embarrassment, just a little, but it's going to be more of a praise, more of an ego type boost. It's going to be more opportunities probably open for him. They may get him a little mental, professional help at the end, but she's a person of authority, and he still was a child. So he should have been someone that she could trust, but it'll end up being she manipulated him. Mhm.
Well, I don't know.
Well, that usually, and that's the way it usually happens. I
Yeah.
mean, she you gonna hide your little boy toy away from everybody else. You don't want your boy toy, nobody to know that you dealing with a little your student or somebody in your school. On the other hand, he'll be glad to tell everybody his credit card with her name on it. And I can buy this and I can buy that. But you know, he maturity. I don't know if this got anything to do with maturity. It really is foolishness. And then it's hard to, we've seen these kind of situations and they don't end good at all. I don't care how good it start off, they don't end good for nobody.
I don't know. It'll put you in the mind of Mary Kay, the lady that
Laterno, was that her name?
mhm, I think so, Mary Kay Latourneau, that ended up having 2 kids by her student, and no matter how much they told her to leave him alone, she ended up going to prison for him.
Yeah. And still got out of prison, married him. She
Yep, they married.
get into the day she died.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We don't know what to call that one. But I don't know.
Yeah, because I think he was 13 years old when she got involved with him.
Yeah, now
He was,
he was a child. He was a child. He hadn't even made it to high school.
mm-mm.
And she
Yeah.
swore she was in love with him. She couldn't live without him. She said we didn't understand. She said the judge and other people didn't understand how she felt. And we, in the end, I guess we didn't understand what she was saying because she did everything to be with him, so we didn't understand. I know I didn't.
No, and
She,
remember she gave up her other two kids. No, was it two or four? Remember she gave up her kids for him. She divorced her husband.
yeah,
So she left everything behind in life just to be with him. Like I said, they ended up together toward the end, but it's like, do you have to think about it? That's what that question. I was like, what is love? Because she gave up her own children to be with him, and she raised their children together, but she had no relationship with her oldest children. So it's like, was it worth the sacrifice? Even though she's deceased now, God rest her soul, but it's like that's a lot. And that's the same way with this teacher. It's like, what is she gonna lose dealing with a student?
or what is she gonna gain dealing with a student?
And I think that's something that's not taken into consideration. When you have adults who are so focused on themselves and you're not focused on your
Mhm.
children, when that's your children's childhood. And it's like you can't even give them a childhood that they can reflect on when they grow up because you're so focused on you. And I started reading the book and I skipped. I said, you know what? This is a little too much, for me. But it's just one of those things where in real life we forget about the children. We forget about their childhood, their livelihood, and this is all they're going to have. The few times that they saw, the few times that they encountered. And when we get to talking about Mary Kay Letourneau, and now she is dead and gone, and her children, their childhood with their mom. It's just a sad story. It never ends well.
And
Because
then
okay, those kids, those girls will always be reminded of what they did. Yeah, long as they live, they gonna be reminded. It's gonna be a never-ending saga, you know. And what was it? Well, I've had little youngsters. You teach school. You had these little managed little youngsters trying to say something to you, you know, and you as a teacher tell them you better go somewhere and sit your end down. I don't play that. I don't roll like that. But when they find out they say something to you and you go smiling, they know what they done read you for what you are then.
That's it.
she should have shut it down. And it's like, I think even when often, and people always feel like men are predators, but women can be predators too. And I don't think anybody wakes up one day and say, okay, yeah, I want to deal with a child. But like I said, when you catch somebody vulnerable, you have to rationalize that in your mind somewhere saying that is okay. And I think all of us here have worked in a part of education. Like you just said, you have to shut it down because they gonna try you. Because if anybody see anybody attractive, and especially like I said, she worked on her body because that was her main goal because her self-esteem was low. So let me work on myself to prove something to my husband. But she didn't do the inner work. She did the outside work. It's like she wanted a quick fix. So it's like you did the outside work, but the inner work was not there because at the end of the day, even though the fly tells you at the beginning, well, he was 18. Yeah, he was an adult, but he still ain't adult enough to buy liquor. He's not even 21. He can't even, but
No, so he wasn't an adult. He was still considered school age
he was
until
still
he was 21. So there was some kind of underlining, something else that was underlining because for her, that she would even, like you all say, allow him to say something to her without shutting it down and then enjoy that. I don't know if because, she wasn't getting the attention and the love that she wanted, the relationships that she wanted. So he came at a time where she was, I don't know if she was lonely, she was depressed, she was still shocked that she thought maybe Dorian may would have been the one, that she could have started a good relationship with, and he turned out to be bisexual. He called her at a time where she was just, I don't know, we know she wasn't thinking right because she was impressed by him. And have we ever been at a time where we're just so glad, the relationship is not working with the man that I want to be with, but this person here is looking at me, so I'm just glad somebody's looking at me. At least I can have somebody to talk to, or somebody to spend time with me, or someone, that's interested in me. So let me just go with it. And then you end up being in a worse situation than you was at first with your ex-husband. So I don't know. There was some other underlining things that maybe she should have gone to therapy by herself to work on herself.
That's what I'm saying. She didn't do the inner work. And I think even when she like, I've been teaching school for 6 years, so you have to think about the kids that do look up to you. It's like, and I know people be saying a matter of opinion don't matter. And he posed that question to her. Remember at the very beginning, he was like, basically like, forget what everybody else think, forget what everybody else say. And I think that's the battlefield of the mind. No, you don't care about what everybody else think or say, but it's like in norms, you have to have rules in anything, in society, in your classroom, because it's like if you don't follow rules, it's the same way. Like if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. But it's at a point where she was vulnerable and low, and you see that often. You will see people, even if it's not with a child, you will see people that go through so much in a relationship, and like I said, I'm gonna get with somebody else to prove something to the next person. And I have saw women, I have known women, they'll get a man because he's not the most attractive man, or he's already at a low vulnerable point, and I get with you and I dress you up to make my ex mad, because I know, and I know you want to feel good, so this is my way to make you feel powerful. So I dress you up, act like I love you, and do everything in the world for you, but I'm only dressing you up because I'm mad at the next man. I don't think she messed with him because she was angry at the coach, but I do think it was a point in her. Like I said, when he stood beside me, he didn't look like a boy. It's like everything in her mind was telling him, like, this is a man. He's a man to me. He's a man. This is not a boy. And she rationalized that to make that true in her mind. And you find people like that in regular relationships, they'll be so miserable, but they'll rationalize everything to make it good because they have too much pride to leave.
But how often do we see very attractive women have everything going on for them, but their self-esteem is low, they're depressed, they have come out of a bad relationship or in a bad relationship, and instead of trying to work on themselves to get them ready for whatever is next in their lives, then they become vulnerable and get into situations that are worse than what they're in before they got into the situation. So I really, it was just something else going on with her, and she didn't give herself time to try to work through it and get herself in a better place. Yeah.
I think she needed to heal.
Yeah, she
I think
needed.
I think she needed to heal.
And then, if she was so
Yeah.
embarrassed, she couldn't even talk to her friend about it. So that would have been an eye opener right there. She was too embarrassed to even share it with, what her friend name? Was it Tiffany? What was her friend's name?
The only one
Tony.
I remember.
Her name was Tony.
Tony. She couldn't even share it because Tony was going to be like, girl, what's
Because
wrong?
she knew it was wrong. She
Yeah.
she knew it was wrong, and
That's what I was
despite
going to
of
say.
yeah, despite of how she rationalized that this is a man and he is so mature and he got this going on, he got that going on, and she knew it was wrong. She knew it was wrong. He knew it was wrong. They knew it was wrong. But again, they allowed themselves to cross that line and do their thing and thought they could hide it. And oftentimes, we as human beings, as people, as men and women, do
Yeah.
things that we think that we can hide and get away with. And not necessarily messing with a student or something like that, but I'm sure we could all think of something that we have done that
Mm-hmm.
we knew was wrong, that we
Mm-hmm.
should not have done. And the only reason we did it was because we thought we could get away with it.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
Like
True.
like Miss Doris said, it's all fun and games till it's not.
Until it's not. Everything is okay until it's not okay.
Until it's not. But you know what? And you find people like that it's like that in relationships. sometimes we want things that are not right for us, and especially if we made sacrifices for it. Them are the hardest relationships to break because you felt like you gave too much. And you find relationships that may look normal and people still don't share certain stuff because they know it's wrong, and they know they friend or somebody gonna love them enough for to tell them you ain't had no business with so and so in the first place. You knew that wasn't right. And it's like you put it out there in the atmosphere, and if you hide it, what goes on in the dark does come to the light. The problems, the heartache, the pain, and it's like, and the worst thing to do is hide it, because once it get put on the public display, ain't no running from it. You have to face it. You have to face it.
Yeah, I really want to get to the part of the book where it did come out. So, if adults talk, kids gonna talk and they're gonna be so glad to tell, I was with this particular person. It may have slipped out. I'm not sure. Somebody may have come over there to her house and caught them. But I really, really want to see how did that secret come to light.
And
We
then
should.
she'll have those consequences to deal with, in addition to what she was dealing with before she opened up this door of destruction, you know.
She needed to heal. And I think that's the worst thing that we do in relationships. We hop out of one relationship in the next relationship because we looking for somebody to fulfill us. And it's like you go from one relationship and you go into the next because you're looking for somebody to fill a void. I think that's the most powerful thing about self-love. And often, and it's like Dorian, you and Dorian weren't even no real relationship, but time she found out Dorian was bisexual, you ran. And instead of just waiting till somebody else came along, we don't properly date. We make do one or two dates, and the next thing you know, boom, this my boyfriend or this my girlfriend. Just because it feels nice, or they coming at you and they saying all the things that you want to hear, and you ain't paying attention to your actions. Because if she had paid attention to Dorian actions and looked at his mannerism and the things how she said he was at first, she could have realized someone right by Dorian. He was too friendly toward her. He related to her on every level. How many times do you see a man can relate on every level to a woman that's not normally gay or bisexual? And not saying, I'm not trying to stereotype, but sometimes you can tell, and sometimes you can't be misinformed, because you do have most men that are very much heterosexual but have mannerism of a woman. But from how Dorian character was written, you already knew someone right by Dorian. He was too perfect, he was too handsome, he was too caring, he was too loving, he was too meticulous about certain things. And then even when she said, okay, I caught him looking at me, it's like Dorian been around you all summer. Now since he teaching, he looking at you. Dorian don't want you. Dorian just trying to hide in this school because he don't want to be exposed.
And I guess with, like you said, her needing to heal,
Yes.
sometimes we can go through so much trauma and so much BS to the point that your brain is clouded. I mean,
Mhm.
you're right. If
Good.
she had just stopped and paid attention to those things, that she could have caught on that something wasn't right about him. But because I've been in this relationship where I felt unwanted, where my husband has treated me like this, and sometimes we tell ourselves, you know what? God has sent me the one. He is
Mhm.
perfect. He got this going on. He can relate to me. He can, sometimes it's like, you know what? This is my breakthrough. And sometimes you sometimes you're not thinking, oh, he relates to me or he's so perfect because there's something wrong. It's God done sent me the right one. And again, sometimes we be so clouded or we be so hurt or we be so tired of going through the BS that we tell ourselves that this is right or this is the right one or this is, God sending me the guy that I deserve to have.
Right.
And that could have been what she was thinking with Dorian. So she missed it.
Yeah, because he was attentive. They
Mhm.
worked out together. It was like Dorian was her best friend at one point. So it's like, why not Dorian? He's handsome. He has a career. We can relate. We teachers. He enjoyed my company. So Dorian made sense, because even when you first read, it's like, okay, Dorian did make sense for her. He did. But the only thing, like when I first started reading, like I said, it was raunchy. It was very raunchy. I'm like, okay, Coretta years ago could have, and I did, read through it with no problem. But this time it's like, whoa, this is vulgar starting off from the beginning. It's very vulgar. But as I said, you find some women that are very sexually explicit. They like to get straight into the point. So I did respect her writing in that part, because all women are not the same. And then she was just being honest and true. She was like, I'm sexually frustrated. She said it straight out as a woman that she was sexually frustrated. And I think sometimes people use that as a scapegoat because if she had been working on herself mentally, it's like, you didn't get with this guy because you sexually frustrated. You got with this guy because you broken and you not healed. And you angry as she was at the coach. And I think that's why she wanted someone to be handsome and tall and debonair, because I need somebody to get at the coach with, to show him that somebody else wants me. Because you can tell at a point she still wanted her coach. She still wanted the coach.
And
Because
the coach was continuing on. He was enjoying his life. Like it didn't miss a beat.
Wasn't studying her at all. Not at
Uh-uh.
all. Like,
Anytime that you being intimate with your ex-wife and should be in tune and into her, the phone rings and you talk to another woman.
yeah, he wasn't studying her at all. Period.
And to be honest, y'all, I'm trying to read this book. I'm trying, but it's something about this book that ain't clicking with me. Yeah, it's hard for me to read it.
It
For
was
some reason or another. I mean, that first page, that first sheet, when you turn about the fly, it took me 3 days to read that one page. 3 days. So I'm just on the part on the page now where she introduced herself as a teacher to her students, and she talking about the guy she work out with, Dory. I think that's the guy. That's why I am. I pick it up and I put it down. I open it up, I read, but it's not for understanding. I don't know about this book.
It's challenging, and I think that was one of the reasons why I chose. Because when I thought, now honestly, I'm be honest, I didn't remember the vulgar language, but I remember the storyline because albeit all, and I'm not gonna spoil the ending or the middle or anything for y'all, but once you get into the book, you will develop more about her character and everything that she's been through and how the coach actually tore her down. And I think is in any relationship, if it's man or woman, because some as women we can tear men down, as men they can tear women down, and when people are vulnerable and they looking for love, we look for love in all the wrong place. And I hate to say R. Kelly, and I know the audience are gonna come for me because of how R. Kelly was, so I can't normalize R. Kelly, but y'all know you can relate him to this book because he messed with girls that were underage, but often he said as long as they were 18 years or older. But R. Kelly had one of the most beautiful songs, and it's called I was looking for love in all the wrong places, if that's the correct song. And I honestly played the song for my students, and everybody thought it was relating to a woman, but he kept saying he's so broken, he's so hurt and been through so much, and he looking for love in every woman. But the only place he didn't truly found love was the only time that he was seeking God to heal him. And that's the whole message of the song. And I used to have to get my students to relate to things through songs and words because it's like songs are powerful. Maxwell, A Woman's Worth. I used to tell them listen to that all the time, and no student ever caught on to that song or what it meant. And I told them pay attention to the video, and it was talking about a woman's worth and what makes a woman strong because she can do what a man could ever do. She can give life to a child. And she's at her most weakest, she's at her most vulnerable, and she's at her most powerful position because she's bringing something new into this world. And as a man, he was saying, I'm standing back in awe because this is a woman's work. And the whole time in the song, he was like, and the kids loved it. And to this day, they always talk about that song. And to me, this book reminds me of a woman's work that she hadn't finished with her work. It's like she needs to be reborn again because the coach killed her. He killed the very essence of what she was. He killed her. And she was saying, I trusted you. I trusted you after the first STD, but I knew you were being dishonest. You gave me a second STD. And now I'm walking out of here. I'm mad. I'm bitter. I'm miserable. And I'm angry because not only are you cheating on me, but you didn't even have enough respect for me to use a condom. And you ain't even coming to the doctor. I'm coming to the doctor and I'm coming back with prescriptions. So she walks into a bar and she throw the pills over there. And wow, when she get there, he laughing with all the guys and another woman right there entertaining him. So he broke her spirit. He broke everything about her. So the only thing she knew for the fear from that brokenness, let me get sexy again. The sexy woman that he fell in love with because they had a whirlwind affair. We fell in love after a couple of months and got married. So she never got a chance to get to know him in the first place.
She
They was in
did.
love with the ideal of each other. And I think as women, sometimes we want to be loved so bad where we do miss a lot of things. Like I said, the book is hard. It's tough to read, but as you get on in there and start reading, it's like you will pay attention to she didn't love herself. And this young guy came along and showed me a love that I never experienced before. He's like, he didn't love me just because I was sexy. He loved me because I was powerful. He loved me because I challenged him. But then not only did I challenge him, he challenged me. She wanted to be better for him. Not saying it ain't right, but some people normalize that. Look at older
That's
time.
what's gonna happen when all the challenges and all the love and all of that is over.
That's true, because as you said, lust is a powerful tool. We miss out on love because we be in lust.
And
But
this
you
shit,
said,
and then sometime in the back of your head, you know that
That's true.
age difference is a tough. That age difference. People they are. It's two things people say in this world, and I used to repeat it, but I found out it's the biggest lie ever been told. Age ain't nothing but a number, and sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt. Those are two biggest lies people can ever tell. And that's why I stopped using it, because that is so untrue.
I agree.
So,
I
it's
agree.
it's what's gonna happen when the daydreaming, when fantasy land, fantasy island comes to reality. What
because
was then?
they're not even compatible mentally. Age wise, they have nothing in common. You just, I mean, I'm a student at the school, you work at the school. And the only other thing is, your ex-husband is my coach. So y'all have nothing in common, nothing to fall on with each other, no, nothing at all. So, like Dara said, age is nothing but a number. That's a lie. You gotta
But
be compatible somewhere.
in hindsight, I guess you can look at it like this, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree because it's like I'm at an age now where I don't even know. A lot of things they said in the past is like now I'm relearning myself. But it's like you see your grandparents and your granddad maybe was 15 years older than your grandma and they made it work through, if it was suffering or whatever, it's like they made it work. It was normal. Long as he had a cow and a whatever, a horse or whatever, they'll trade off for him. She was 12 and 13, marrying somebody that was
And was that right though? That
no,
happened, but that wasn't right.
it didn't make it right. It didn't. And that's why you find, and we always saying we oppressed because of the white man. No, a lot of us oppressed because their grandparents were given away for too young. They had to be women too young, had other kids too young, so it tore the family apart. And that's the only thing I like about Tyler Perry, because he put all them family secrets out there that we like to hide, because the family started off as broken homes because you gave a child to a full grown man.
Mm.
You gave a child to a
And
full
then wait a minute. And then Coretta, we wasn't there back then. The only thing we know is what they told us
That's
and
true.
what
That's true.
we see. And there are so many hidden secrets
Yes,
that our parents and took to the grave
that's true.
because they vowed never to tell
Mm-hmm.
nobody but God. They want nobody to know but God. And there's still some things in the present day. I don't want nobody to know but God.
Right.
So we look, people say people been married 40 some years, and some people didn't been married for 2. And some people couldn't stay married and long, what they said, long as John stayed in the army. I don't know who John is, and I don't know how long he stayed. But they say some of everything.
They do.
But it is, and a lot of things I hope I never find out the truth about it, because I wouldn't be able to stand it. I wouldn't be able to stand it. Deal with it. But I've always looked at old teachers, preachers, everybody going with having these young people on their arm for show. For show. No love nowhere, I guess. I don't know, because somebody gonna fall. If you don't have your heart right, If you got to know what you're in it for, and even when you know what you're in it for, you still lose focus. Because especially if you never had it, and somebody give you something you never had. That's why when these rich people marry and they divorce, and when they go through divorce, they have to make that lady, they have to pay that lady so she can continue the lifestyle that she's accustomed to.
Yeah, because it wasn't love in
You
the
know,
first place. Everybody be talking about Kanye West
I
and
don't know
Kim.
what.
Everybody be talking about Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, but if you listen to everything that she be saying when she cry about her marriage, she crying because she failed or what the people gonna say. But it's like you had these kids and you say this, that, and the third, and you tore down the last woman that he was with, but you were no different, but you want to make yourself better. And not that, because when you hurt, you say hurtful things. But the only thing that you be is like, was the relationship inappropriate? It's like, actually, what did y'all have in common? Now you hear him coming out saying, well, if he get with somebody else, I want to deal with an artist and stuff like that. And now you hear him speaking out against her mom, and you hear him speaking out against her, saying, well, I don't want my child to be like her. But you thought enough of her to marry her. So it's like we get in these relationships, and like I said, in the olden days it was hid, but now everything is normalized because you have social media and everybody has a platform, and everybody normalized, I'm on vacation, I'm doing this with babe, because they normalize this is the standard what a relationship's supposed to look like. He or she's supposed to take me out. We supposed to buy each other this. We supposed to advertise that. Like I said, until it's not fun anymore because you don't know the secrets that going on behind closed doors. You only see the nice pictures in the video.
But look, Coretta, when you said that about her and Kanye West, they married, you know, it may have been just celebrities, a big celebrity thing, you know. But that brought me to mind of when Kobe had a girlfriend in high school, and they told him not to take his girlfriend to the prom because he was finna get ready to go pro.
Mm-hmm.
And then come, he probably liked Brandon music, but she smiled for the camera. He smiled for the camera on their arm and stuff. It wasn't nothing but a publicity stunt.
It was because you heard in the afterwards she said it didn't work because they had nothing in common. But it's like that's what everybody tells us what love's supposed to look like. Everybody tells that, and people change when you get certain status of the money. But it's like when everybody call LeBron James king, it's like you have to respect LeBron James because he brought his girlfriend all the way to where he is now, and he don't change that. You see him with his wife and his kids, and he normalized the traditional black family. Now, even though we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but you don't hear him caught up in all the scandals because he was okay with himself. You know, Kobe and God rest his soul, but you know he got caught up in a scandal with his wife. You cheating and stuff like that is like we normalize so much, and we feel like in relationships, especially as women, where we have to take certain things because if I don't take this, then I got to. We don't want to start over again, and it's like in the book.
And
Hmm,
we don't need to know what's going on behind nobody closed door because there's so much going on behind ours. But I always think about Tina Turner, a Tina Turner song, and it means so much to me. What love is. You know, some people, the man, I listen to, look at a lot of Judge Judy, a lot of Judge Millie on the People's Court. And women come in there and talk all kind of things. He done beat you up. He done ran you out the house. He done twisted your arm. You bring your medical report. But then the next month you back with him, you sleeping with him and stuff. Why are you sleeping with him? I love him. Look in the mirror. What love got to do with that?
Self-love.
So I don't know. What love got to do with anything, with a lot of these the relationship? What love got to do with fly on the wall? Miss Page and what his name? Theo.
Theo.
What love got to do with any of that? Is any of that? I don't know. I'm just throwing out some thoughts.
I mean, it's true. It's powerfully true because it's like what love got to do with it, and we have to often question ourselves, what does love supposed to look like? And I think with this one, and I think that was the great aspect of not choosing a spiritual book, because in all the spiritual books, we gonna learn in Christianity you reap what you sow, even though that is true. Because I have just seen some stuff personally now, and I'm not gonna, because we own social media, but I have honestly seen where somebody put a lot of stuff out there in the atmosphere, and when I say it just didn't hit him back, and it hit him back hard, and it's like wow, and it's like you never know, and I mean this is something totally different. I would have never expected. It's like you couldn't even predict it, but it's like now they say we in different seasons, but it's like you see God doing His work, but sometimes even with this book, God stand back and He give us free will, and I think for her it's like you don't know if this is gonna be a lesson or a blessing because it starts out wrong and taboo, but it's like what it exactly is gonna lead to. And it goes like what you just said. What does love have to do with it, or is it really about love? Or like Kim was saying earlier, sometimes it's not even about love because we don't even love ourselves enough to give ourselves an opportunity just to heal and to be okay. We jump in one relationship to the next, one relationship to the next because we constantly looking for love.
And maybe it made a lesson learned about sin. What the Bible says, there's no little sin. You can't categorize them. All of them have the same weight. And sin leads to one thing. And sin is not, this book showing you, sin is not just that straight road. Sin branch off here, here, here. Out of one situation, sin a branch off in every direction. Hit so many people. Hit so many people. One situation will branch off and hit so many people. So it shows me that sin does not travel in a straight line. Sin branches off just like with intersections in big cities. It goes up, down, around, everywhere. So in this book, it just shows you that this is just not between Miss Page and Theo, his mom, his friend, his coach, his future, her friends, everybody. It is everywhere.
And then it also shows you like what Shed was saying about earlier. It's like what you were speaking on. They only thinking about themselves, but you're not thinking about everybody that is gonna hurt. The good thing about it is you don't have children, so the children, the innocent lives are not getting affected. But every sacrifice that his mom made for him, like I say, he got something to lose because his mom made sacrifices for him because she was a single mom. The coach didn't care about what he had to lose because some men are cocky because I guess he felt like his position was secure. Even when she embarrassed him in public, he don't care because the status quo, the men gonna give him a high five, STD or not. But Theo has a lot to lose, even though he ain't looking at it because he still got the respect of his mom and the shame that he'll bring to his mom. That they made the sacrifices for him. The kid in the beginning mad about the car because you feel like you entitled to this car because your mom went out and she working hard to buy a truck. And she constantly warned you about these girls, but it's like you paid attention to about Tesla because you realized Tesla wasn't right. But what about Paige? You ain't thinking about Paige don't love herself enough not to get into bed with her student. Because even if she was gonna start a relationship with him, she could have respected herself enough to wait until he graduated. Even though he did wasn't fully legal, but it's like if that's something that you wanted to do, and that's the thing, the heart wants what the heart wants. I don't care the greater the sin, whoever is gonna affect. When people want what they want and they got an opportunity to go forward, they don't care who is gonna hurt in their pathway, mama, uncle, sister, brother, or whatever. You go for it, and that's what it's showing. Paige feel like I done been hurt so much. Paige going for what she want, and she don't care who is gonna hurt. It's all about her and Theo. In the beginning, they told you it was just about them two, and the fly was the only one telling you anything different.
And I always used to say, "Ooh, to be a fly on that wall." I've probably been passed out and injured myself and died. You know, been critically injured. My ears were too sensitive to be a fly on the wall. So that changed my mind. I don't want to be a fly on the wall.
It goes back to what I was saying, God sees it all. The fly just
I
may be
I wouldn't want to be a nasty fly anyway.
That fly said it was an uppity fly. It wasn't the kind of fly that land on nasty stuff.
The fly gonna tell you about himself just how fly he was.
The fly tell you that it wasn't that kind of fly, but I'm gonna let you get to that part.
Well,
yeah, he did
I ain't never seen no good fly. A fly is a fly. I don't care what you do. You can call yourself uppity, country, sophisticated, or nasty. A fly is a fly. I don't care what. And if I if I had a fly swatter, I don't look and see what kind of fly you are, if you're pretty or not. I'm getting rid of you. I'm getting rid of you.
That
Well,
fly
thank you, ladies.
had class.
Yeah, the fly was flashy. But thank you, ladies. We are gonna reconvene next week. We to all the audience, thank you guys for logging on. This is a very taboo subject, and hopefully you guys search your heart and minds and pay attention to what was just spoken. What does love have to do with it? What does love have to do with it? Thank you all for logging on. I will see you guys next week. Would anybody like to say anything before we close?
Yes, and remember, this is our opinion only. I'm just making a
Yes.
disclaimer. This is our opinion only. We're not experts. I'm not an expert in the topic. That's why I say me.
Yes.
Thank you, Sister Doris. Thank you.
Y'all have a good night.
All right.
All
See you
right.
guys later. Thank you all for logging on.
All right. Bye-bye.